Stumbling some of that and ruin everything. Good evening, welcome to New York University, Casa, Italiana, Zerilli-Marimò. We're very excited to host the second evening of Peperoncino Jazz Festival. I'm really delighted about this event. It has been in the making for quite a while, and I love the slogan that they chose for this event. That is, the real dream is the dreamer. It's right here in the red apple. And Sergio Gimignano, who is the curator, director, soul, inspirator of this festival, really is the dreamer, because when he came to talk to us, particularly to Kostya, my collaborator that really is in charge of many of the aspects of the musical program, it's one of the many people that come here with great ideas, and then little by little they disappear, the big idea gets really, really small. And I have to say that in the case of Sergio, the exact opposite happened, and the idea got bigger, and the idea became a reality. And that's the festival that you are attending. I don't want to take away more of your time. You're here to listen to beautiful music, and we're going to get you that. Just take a copy of the program, read it, and try to go to as many events as possible. As you know, this festival is a spin-off of a festival that Sergio created in Calabria that really jazzes up Calabria for a month, an entire month, or more.
More than two.
More than two. And so I love the idea that jazz, that is an American musical form, but it was born also thanks to the presence of Southern Italian musicians here in the States, goes back to Calabria, mobilizes the entire region, and then comes back to New York in the form of Peperoncino, red hot chili pepper. That's what it is. And without further ado, please welcome Sergio, that is going to tell you about the festival and about the artists that are here with us tonight. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Peperoncino Jazz Festival New York session. The director told everything I want to tell you back, but I'm really, emotional to be here because this is an institutional cultural institute, that promotes Italian culture. So it was necessary to be here with this festival. That is a festival based on Italianity. Can you read it there? And because all the musicians have connection with Italy, or they are Italian musicians, or maybe they are American, but with some connection with Italy, or are American Italians. So this is the focus, and also is a festival that promote our region, the Calabria region. And maybe you saw some video on the screen behind me, and so it's a way to promote my region. And now we are here, but we wait you in Calabria. That is a very nice region. We have 800 kilometers of coast, 3 national parks. We were the Magna Grecia, so there are many archaeological sites, ruins, and city from the Greek era. So it's a really beautiful region. Is the bottom of the boot, right? Yeah, tip of the boot, right before Sicily. So very, very nice weather, very nice water. So please come to Calabria. And I want to thank the director, also Kostya Kostic and Julian, that they were so kind to me, and I want to say thank you to them. Please clap your hands for them. For the and we talk about Italianity also because after the concert, I invite you to join us upstairs. There will be a nice buffet with Calabrian food and wine, and so please stay with us. And I think you appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. But the main reason we're here is the concert now. And before that, I want to say thanks to a very important person to me. He helped me to do this, to let this dream become true, and is Mr. John Patitucci here on the And before presenting you the musicians, up on stage, Mr. Dave Schroeder is the director of the jazz section of the NYU Steinhardt. So he will tell us some academic. He will do an academic talk about the Italian role in jazz. That maybe is really important. So, Mr. Dave Schroeder.
This will only take 45 minutes. So, just in case you don't know the importance of Italy and Italian musicians, I just give you a brief history, and this is kind of a world history. We're going to go back to 1801 with President Thomas Jefferson made the purchase of the Louisiana area called the Louisiana Purchase, which, why is that important? Well, that opened up the port of New Orleans in the Mississippi River and all that area for new immigrants that came from Germany and France and England and Italy and the Caribbean and South America. So this is why we call New Orleans the melting pot for this music. So we had all the way into the late 1800s into the 1900s, we had a mix of the blues from African Americans, and we had Italian opera, and we had marching band, and we had ragtime. All these things were the byproduct of this melting pot of all these immigrants and people that moved into that region to find new life and new opportunity. So we move ahead a few years, and we think about, well, what was the first jazz recording? What's the official jazz recording that many people would say, yeah, that's the first one, because it was improvised in the style of what was going on in New Orleans. The clash between the blues and ragtime and marching band and street music and things like that. So there were a lot of musicians that were asked to record early on. Like there was a lot of musicians came to New York for more work, better work, working the vaudeville scene here, like right down 2nd Avenue down the street. There was one trumpet player named Freddie Keppert, who was from New Orleans around 1914. He was asked to record, and he refused because he thought if somebody bought the record, they wouldn't come to hear you play. And guys were sneaky back then. You ever see Louis Armstrong would always hold a handkerchief and he'd wipe his brow and stuff. But a lot of times, trumpet players would cover their hand, put the handkerchief over their fingers so you couldn't see the combination, so people wouldn't steal that. So people were afraid of recording. Now imagine the record player, the Victrola, was brand new, so a lot of people were afraid if you record, you're going to steal everything that's in my mind, and that's how they made money from playing town to town. You know? So actually, the first recording that we think about as this improvised music happened in New York in 1917. Does anybody know who that was? It was from a group that came up to New York to play at a restaurant called Reisenweber's on Columbus Circle. And it was a group called the Original Dixieland Jazz Band. And their first track was called Dixieland One Step. And the leader of the band's name was from New Orleans. The whole band was from New Orleans. His name was Nick LaRocca, who was heritage from Sicily. So now it turns out that the first jazz recording is given to the Italians. How about that? So that has a lot of meaning. That goes way back, and we've continued ever since. We're going to continue tonight. So that's all I wanted. That's the end of my lesson, end of my lecture, and we're going to continue this great thing.
Thank you, Mr. Dave Schroeder from NYU And now, Elio. I'm going to present you the band. It's a New York Italian soul star. I call it this band this way. And I call on stage Mr. Elio Coppola on drums. Elio Coppola on drums from Naples. Elio Coppola. On bass, I'm very honored to have him here. He has a name, American name for sure, but he has some connection with Italy. And anyway, he's Gerald Cannon on bass. Gerald Cannon. Gerald Cannon. And the connection is his wife here. Thank you for coming. From Naples too. Thank you. Thank you. On piano, there is another maestro, and he has no connection with Italy, so sorry. But you already, but you already played at our festival in Calabria, so let's make sense, okay? Adam Birnbaum. And he is a very good friend of mine. I love this guy. He's always, how do you say, gentle with me, very kind. And he's coming right now from Mexico, from a tour in Mexico, and he's just landed here in New York. So I want to thank him for all this work. And he's Benack III. Benack III. He has some connection with Italy because his grandfather, you know, his original surname was Benacci. Okay, that's right. And then someone changed it. Benack. So it's a real Italian all-star here on stage. So thank you for coming. Thank you. Buona vita.
The last one is initial. Okay, wait. Okay. Grazie a tutti. Buonasera a tutti, ciao a tutti. Tutto a posto? Tutto a posto? You are okay? You are all okay? Bene, bene, good. Sono Benack III, sono dia sera felice qui stasera. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to, as he mentioned, one of my good friends, Sergio, for having me. And another one of my good friends here on the drums, no stranger to Sergio and the Peperoncino Festival, the wonderful Elio Coppola on the drums. And Fratello, my brother. And I've had the pleasure of performing this festival a couple of times in Italy. I was just in Italy with Elio, just like last month, I think. It was just like yesterday. And the musicians that you see up here on stage, it really is a special group because they are musicians that Elio and I both respect very well. And we hope you're enjoying the music. That was, of course, Cole Porter's Love for Sale. And we are going to continue now with a composition of mine entitled Kiss Me Slowly. But as we have recorded this and performed this in Italy a number of times with Elio, he is my professore di Italiano, my Italian teacher, and he told me kiss me slowly in Italian is baciami lentamente. Not baciami, baciami. Baciami lentamente. So this is Kiss Me Slowly. Whoa. When you kiss me tender, kiss me light. Let's pretend we're kissing on the last night. Let it linger in the air. Kiss me madly, I don't care. Just let mine be the lips of yours right there. When your lips are touching over so close to mine, and my heart begins to skip, dear, it's a sign. Love is crazy by design, but your lips are divine. So darling, when you kiss me, baciami lentamente. In my days of youth when I was hungry, oh, I'd always be the first to clean my plate. Stop that. But when my eyes met yours, I've grown patient. Now I know the best love can wait. Though we may sometimes be stuck a world apart, just remember you're the one who stole my heart. We may never kiss again until the moment when you're back here wrapped up in my waiting arms. And when that time has come, oh, there's just one rule of thumb. Simply, darling, when you kiss me, baciami lentamente. Mr. Adam Birnbaum on the piano. Let's have a photo. Gerald Cannon on the bass, ladies and gentlemen. It's my music when I was hungry. Oh, I'd always be the first to clean my plate. But since my eyes met yours, I've grown patient. Now I know the best love can wait. Though we may sometimes be separated, just remember you're the one who stole my heart. We may never kiss again until the moment when you're back here wrapped up in my waiting arms. And when that time has come, babe, there's just one rule of thumb. Simply, darling, when you kiss me slowly. Baciami lentamente slowly. Oh, you gotta kiss me slowly. Darling, won't you kiss me slowly? Whoa, you gotta kiss me slowly. Darling, won't you kiss me slowly? Darling, won't you kiss me slowly? Grazie a tutti. Thank you very much. Once again, that was a composition that is the title track of the album that I recorded with Elio, and the music that we have presented for Sergio at the Peperoncino Festival in Italy. And we have played this music many times together, but it feels very fresh because we have Maestro Gerald Cannon and Adam Birnbaum lending themselves to this music for the first time, and it's beautiful. So we're hoping you enjoyed that last one. We're going to feature Elio on a number now. This is another old standard entitled Just in Time. There's Elio Coppola. Elio Coppola, as I said, mi fratello, my brother. And, you know, Elio has a tendency to have the drums run away from him when he gets very excited. And we don't have much room here on the stage, so, you know, I have seen many drum sets fall victim to the powers of Elio Coppola on the drums. And as Sergio and I both mentioned, Elio has made the trip from Italy to perform here and be a part of this community that Sergio and Maestro Patitucci are working on bringing to everybody here in New York City. And I've been playing with Elio now for a number of years, and October is an unofficial Italian month in New York City, because for a number of years, every October, Elio and a few of our other Italian musician friends, they either get an Airbnb or they find somebody's apartment to crash at, and they come for a month and they are out hanging every single night. And that's how I met Elio, just out here in the village at these clubs, hanging and really trying to soak up this music scene. And I've had the pleasure of going to Italy and traveling all over Italy with him, and we've had so many adventures, and it's such a privilege to be here presenting this music in a beautiful place like this in my home of New York City. So once again, for Elio Coppola on the drum. And as I mentioned, Elio was very instrumental in putting this group together, and while it has been well documented that Adam Birnbaum does not have any specific Italian connection, the reason that he is here on stage is simply because Elio said to me that he was one of the finest piano players, not just in New York City, but in the world. And when he had the option to choose who to play with us, he said, "Man, come on, man. You have Birnbaum's number, man. I would love to play with him." And this is, I think, the first time that we have all got to play together. And I've been fortunate to play with Adam a number of times over the years and teach together. And he is known around the world for playing with one of the legendary heroes of this music, the great Al Foster, on drums. And it's such a privilege to have him here on stage, our honorary Italian tonight, Mr. Adam Birnbaum on the piano. There you go. He says he knows a lot about Italian wine, so he'll be giving a master class upstairs afterwards. And the last musician here on stage that we want to mention, of course, is a very special connection to Italy. He was a very smart man and married a beautiful Italian woman, so clearly he understands. And this is a musician that I have had the privilege and pleasure of working with a number of times in the decade that I've been in New York. And we would be here all night if we listed all of the luminaries and incredible musicians that he has accompanied and been able to work with. And on top of the list of people that he has performed with, the thing that is maybe most striking to me about Maestro Cannon is how many of my friends and my peers look to him as a mentor and a hero. And of course, the spirit of jazz has always been an oral tradition that we pass down. And yes, of course, he teaches in some of the conservatories here around school, but all of the guys that I run around with night after night, they come here to hear Gerald, and they go hang out with him. And like a true jazz teacher, he is very open with all the information and all of that material that he is playing on the bass, and sharing that with me and all of my friends, and making sure that this music is still alive. So a big round of applause for being here. And in the true spirit of an egoless jazz musician, Gerald has mentioned that he would like to share the stage with another marvelous bass player that is here this evening, and only if he will grace us. Maybe if we give him a big round of applause, it might happen. If we can get Maestro Patitucci. A lot of bass. There's a lot of bass in the house. Stasera. Wow.
I think I have to lower it for me.
All right. This is my favorite part of what makes jazz music jazz. We're going to give you something that's never been heard before, maybe by us as well. We're going to figure out what we're going to do here. Good question. How about, what is this thing called? Sure. Like maybe do like Latin on A, so you can set it up, Elio. Give it up once again for John Panebianco on the bass. Okay, well, once again, we have to defer to the masters in the room, and I think Maestro Cannon is putting you to work, man. I think we gotta make it happen.
For him, I'll do it.
That's right. That's right. This is beautiful. Grazie a tutti. Grazie a tutti. As I mentioned, I've had the pleasure of touring around Italy for a few years now with Elio, and the first time I went out there, I didn't really know what to expect, and I just kind of put some tunes together and played some of my music, and it was good. It was very nice. Sergio was nice enough to give me a chance. We had some fun. We played, And after a while, Elio said, man, come on, man, you know, you have to play the Italian songs for the Italian people. And so I started one by one, I started to learn a few of them. And I think now I'm going to learn one right now in front of all of you because as I was in Mexico having mezcal last night, Elio told me we were going to do a beautiful song that is in fact an Italian song. I didn't know this was an Italian song, and it is Love is a Many-Splendored Thing. And what is that in Italian, Elio?
Questo amore splendido.
Questo amore è splendido, of course. So we are going to add another Italian song to my repertoire here for all of you. And this is a beautiful ballad, and we are going to start off with the verse here with Adam and myself. Excuse me if I glance down here at the piano. The words are in English.
Why don't you do a sate?
Me dispiace.
He knows that.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, we'll do that one. Let's do that.
Take it easy on him, right?
Yeah, I like it.
It's still Italian song. It counts.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right on it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Once again for Maestro John Patitucci joining us on the bass. And once again, welcome back to the stage, please, Maestro Gerald Cannon on the bass. You know, it's beautiful to see Sergio and his family here in New York City making the trip all together. And I feel like I'm up on stage with mi fratello, my brother here, Elio Coppola, and certainly Mr. Patitucci and Mr. Cannon and Sergio. We're all family in this room tonight, so it's very special to be a part of this magical moment here to make this possible in New York City. And if I know Sergio, this is just the beginning. So I think stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more of this here in New York City. And we have enough time for one more song for you. And we are going to close the performance with a song that I have closed many a performance with Mr. Elio Coppola before. And this is another good old Italian standard. And I've now been touring Italy with Elio for I think about 4 years. And I learned like half of the words in Italian. So I'm almost there. I've almost got it all together now. This is one that I'm sure you will all realize very quickly what it is. And once again, as Sergio mentioned, there's going to be a little bit of an after party upstairs. As he said, I came straight from Mexico. I've been eating nothing but tacos and drinking nothing but mezcal for the past week, so it'll be nice to have some nice Calabrian wine and maybe, you know, get myself recalibrated, or shall I say Calabria-ated, or inebriated. We'll see. And as I said, one last thing to mention is Elio is my Italian professor. I haven't learned many words, so mi dispiace for that. But the one thing that he taught me, a very Neapolitan phrase from the great Sophia Loren, which is referring to my CD as accataravil. Accataravil. And if you don't know what that means, it basically just means like you must buy a CD. So we hope you've all enjoyed yourselves. We are going to give you one more number here. Sono Benack III. Buonasera tutti. Thank you very much. Sometimes the world is full of heartache and song, and in the hustle and bustle no sunshine appears. But you and I have our love always there to remind us we can leave all the pain and illusions behind us. Volare, cantare, nel blu, dentro di blu, felice di stare lassù. Now this is where I go English. We can go on the glow of a star that I know of, where lovers can find peace of mind. We can leave all confusion and all disillusion behind us. Like two birds of a feather, a rainbow together we'll find us. Oh, come on, I know you guys know it. Oh, cantare. Oh, your love has given me wings. Oh, how my happy heart sings. Oh, your love has given me Mr. Gerald Cannon, Gerald Cannon on bass. My brother, that's Elio Coppola on the drums from Naples. Our very special guest, Mr. John Panebianco on the bass. Thank you. And to Sergio and everyone here at the Peperoncino Festival. Grazie mille, grazie a tutti. Buonasera a tutti. Your love has given me wings. You make my little happy heart sing. Your love has given me wings. Oh, Lord.